Every year, thousands of British women find themselves falling head over heels for a man they've met on holiday.
I thought he was a very nice young man. He was very polite. He asked me for my mobile number, and then he asked me for my address.
Love-struck and seduced, offers of marriage can swiftly follow.
I think every girl's dream is to get married. And I don't know, I just felt special and wanted. And I said, yeah.
But the course of love doesn't always run true. Passport scams and finance frauds are all too common.
They must go to some sort of charm school.
And like that holiday tan, the charm can quickly fade.
If I knew that beforehand, I wouldn't have done it. I would not have come to Africa at all.
Some brand new husbands just disappear.
He received his British passport on the 5th of December and he was booking tickets for Egypt Air to get out of there, to go leave the UK.
I come home from work and he wasn't here.
Scammers use the promise of romance to get their hands on money and visas.
My highest money I've taken $50,000.
These are the stories of how sunshine Romeos can turn into holiday love rats. Whether it's the sandy beaches or the heat of the sun, some single ladies on holiday can't help but fall in love. Diane Peebles was away in Sri Lanka when a young hotel worker and tuk-tuk driver called Priyanjana turned her head.
I thought he was a very nice young man. He was very polite. He asked me for my mobile number, and then he asked me for my address, and I didn't think there was anything off it, romantically or anything.
Undeterred by the 33-year age gap and flattered by the young Sri Lankan's attention, when Diane got home to Edinburgh, things started to heat up.
And after I got back home, he tried to call me, but his English wasn't that good, so then he wrote me a few letters. And then from January 2012, we were texting each other. We had a conversation on the phone, and he mentioned marriage. And I was a bit taken aback.
At the time, Diane was 54 and had never been married before. She was seduced by the dream of a new life in paradise with a much younger man. So 7 months later, she flew back to Sri Lanka to see Priyanjana. Things quickly spiralled out of control.
He was really excited. He kept saying, tomorrow engagement, tomorrow engagement. And I thought that we had to go to the registrar's office because I was a foreigner. I thought that we had to register it. You know, that we're getting engaged.
But at the registrar's office, it became clear Priyanjana had a different plan.
And then she started just reciting, do you take, you know, blah, blah, blah. So that's when I discovered what was happening.
Diane was unwittingly taking part in her own wedding ceremony.
I was kind of shocked at first, but he was urging me to go ahead and just say it. So we got married. Didn't have a ring or anything, you know, which was very strange.
This was not the wedding Diane had dreamed of for decades, so the couple dressed up for official photographs. And at the beginning, the new relationship went well.
He was quite attentive and quite romantic and very loving. I was developing feelings for him by this time.
Diane wanted to build a new life with her husband, so she says she sent him £20,000 to start building a home in Sri Lanka for them both.
This is where I used to live.
A couple of years later, keen to help her young husband, Diane says she then sold her flat for £100,000, sending Priyanjana an additional $31,000. He used the money to upgrade his tuk-tuk to a minibus. Later, Diane decided to move to Sri Lanka to be with her new 21-year-old Sri Lankan husband. But instead of love blossoming, the romance withered.
He spent more time at his mother's house than he spent with me. Or he would go out with his friends. And he would never come home at night time. So he was never there. And it just wasn't working out. We were just arguing all the time about money.
Unable to return home, Diane started to realise this marriage may be a sham. And in 2016, 4 years after the wedding, Diane says she met another woman who claimed she was also married to Priyanjana. He denied it, but Diane says she saw a copy of a marriage certificate and even found Valentine's gifts.
I felt betrayed because I thought he really loved me and that's why he married me, but obviously the marriage was never going to work because it was too big an age gap. His mother's 4 years younger than me, his father's 2 years older. My friends tried to tell me and I didn't listen to anyone.
Diane's situation was about to get much worse. News of the money from the sale of her flat back in Scotland spread throughout the area. With active local crime gangs, the couple's relative wealth put them in danger. Tunisia. There's plenty here to attract thousands of British holidaymakers each year. But for single mum Sarah Phillips, it was a man working at her hotel that really caught her attention.
Me and my son went to Tunisia in, I think it's the end of May 2015. And we started to go to the entertainment at night. And there was one guy that sort of kept looking at me and he was very good looking.
This hotel entertainer called Haytham was quick to get Sarah's contact details. And even though Sarah flew home just a few days later, in the following weeks, he turned up the charm, sending messages asking her to be his wife.
I think every girl's dream is to get married. And I don't know, I just felt special and wanted. And I said, yeah, all right, we'll get to know each other a bit more and get married next year or the year after.
But Haytham wanted to be married much sooner.
And he was like, no, I want to get married in November on my birthday. And I was like, why on your birthday? He said, because it means it'll be a special day and I won't ever forget it.
Seemingly undeterred by Haytham's rush, Sarah agreed, and their whirlwind wedding went ahead.
Saved every penny I could get just for the wedding. We got married on the 11th of November. The wedding was lovely. It was really nice. I got pampered for the day. Loads of people was there. Party was lovely.
There was no reason for Sarah to think that Haytham was anything but the real deal.
He always reassured me that he wasn't after me just for a visa, and he said about me moving over to his country.
Sadly, there was no chance Sarah could live in Tunisia, as she needs regular treatment for kidney problems.
It wasn't a choice because I need NHS care.
So Haytham decided he would move to the UK, but it was Sarah who would have to pay for the visa. This was a relationship that had already cost her thousands.
I worked as much as I could, raising any sorts of funds. The wedding, the visa, flights, around that total about £6,000. And being a single mum is a lot of money.
Coming up, in Sri Lanka, Diane's story takes a sinister and terrifying turn.
I was shocked and stunned. I didn't know what to think because a lot of people were saying, oh, is he really dead?
And a woman heads to Africa in pursuit of an online love match.
What woman wouldn't want to come across the world to this?
We all look forward to our holidays, a chance to relax and put our cares behind us. But letting our guard down can prove expensive. According to the National Fraud Intelligence Bureau, romance scam victims lose over £11,000 on average. Michelle from Norwich says she is still counting the cost after she was conned by a holiday love rat in Dubai.
I went out there to help a friend of mine with a new business he was starting, which was a commercial diving business, and Waleed was a fellow employee. Waleed came across as a really charming, sort of really nice guy, you know, with a future, ambitious. He's a charmer. There's no two ways about it.
To Michelle, Waleed was different to other men.
Waleed had something which I hadn't had before, whereas they were more emotional. He would say he loved you. He was a very passionate, I would even say. So that actually does reel you in.
She fell in love. They got engaged and she brought him to the UK on a fiancé visa. That meant she had just 6 months to marry, or he'd have to leave. During this time, Waleed wasn't allowed to work.
If I wouldn't have married him on the fiancé visa, he would have had to go back to his own country. My preference would have been to wait longer, but I actually felt the immigration system itself was pressuring me to marry him.
So the wedding went ahead at this registry office in Durham. It was a perfect day. Michelle finally was the wife to the man of her dreams.
I did love him. I thought the world of him, yeah, I did. It was a chance of happiness. I felt that I'd found someone that shared my dreams. I can remember walking in hair. I can remember my family sort of bearing hair, because that's just the memories, I suppose, coming back to me.
Michelle says at first she supported Waleed financially. She even paid for his diving qualification. She felt this was an investment into their future together. But Waleed had other plans. As soon as his British passport arrived in the post, he was going to do a runner.
He received his British passport on the 5th of December. By the 31st of December, he was booking tickets for Egypt Air to get out of there, to go leave the UK. So that was just that quick. So as soon as he got what he wanted, he was out.
Waleed had gone, and Michelle was heartbroken. To make things worse, he left a string of debts. Michelle had visits from bailiffs. The couple divorced by 2012, and Waleed went on to remarry and became a father. Then years later, and out of the blue, Michelle received a bizarre text.
I had a message saying that his daughter had been rushed into hospital and that she nearly died, but I found it all rather strange because if your daughter was ill, why would you be, WhatsApping your ex-wife who you haven't seen for nearly 3 years in the UK?
Waleed had plans and dropped a bombshell.
He's told me that his Egyptian wife has died of cancer, and basically would I look after his child.
Michelle declined his request, eager to put Waleed firmly in the past. Her own experience spurred her on to become a determined campaigner, trying to persuade the government to introduce new laws to protect women against marriage fraud. She set up the Stop UK Marriage Fraud Support Group and says she hears from thousands of women a year, often online.
Quite often in these cases, there's a pattern of behaviour, there's a psychological process. They actually groom us. The men intimidate the women, don't they? Friends and family will be in on the scam. I don't think they have any guilt, do they? There's no guilt there.
Romance, hasty marriage, demand for UK visas and passport, and finally, abandonment.
My ex-husband used to call me the Banker Michelle.
Michelle believes marriage fraudsters should be brought to justice.
I set this campaign group up to help victims, and that basically saved me in a way.
But not everyone is sympathetic when women find themselves abandoned.
We've been ridiculed by the media saying, you're stupid and how did you not know and that, but people don't understand what it's like until you've been through it. We were groomed. I know who the scammers are, how they're doing it, and I want to make the public aware of that. And we need the government on our side.
Ghana, West Africa, a draw for tourists from around the world. 41-year-old Latoya Brown from Alabama in the United States first came here on holiday in 2011. She was enticed by a man who she met online, but also fell in love with Ghana.
What woman wouldn't want to come across the world to this? This is beautiful. And when you put this on top of the foreign love affair, the allure of it all, and the chemistry comes together and it's perfect. So that's why women travel for love.
Her story began back in the States.
I was on Facebook like I always am, and I saw a message, and it was just simply, hello, how are you? And I actually ignored it. And then one day when I looked back at the message, it was this guy, and I was just like, oh my gosh, he's nice.
The man from Ghana was called Emmanuel. According to Latoya, he claimed he was 32 and owned a big house.
He told me that I was beautiful, and eventually that led to Skype conversations and eventually visiting Ghana. I actually packed up for a 3-week trip
And I mean, it was just a lot of fun.
Emmanuel was every bit the perfect gentleman and pulled out all the stops to win Latoya's affections.
One thing that would melt my heart with Emmanuel was every evening. It was like a performance, and he would extend his hand and say, "Will you accompany me?" And I would always respond in kind with a yes, like this. And the formality of us dressing up to get to the beach always won my heart. I loved it.
Emmanuel took Latoya to his home village of Kickham. He was keen to show her his house.
Only when I arrived did I see the enormity of the house. This is the house. This is it. And I was just like, oh, wow. Okay, this is even better than I thought.
This used to be my view every day. Wake up and come outside here. Beautiful. This is like a 5-bedroom house.
Latoya was won over, convinced Emmanuel was a homeowner.
During that time, that is when he suggested that we should get married. And of course, I played with that idea.
Latoya went back to the States, but she was hooked. Within months, she'd returned to Ghana to marry Emmanuel. The wedding ceremony was huge. Dozens of guests from the village turned up. Latoya has come to see her friend Anne to reminisce about that special day. Looking back, there were definite signs that things in Ghana are sometimes done very differently than back home.
About 200 people showed up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like the whole...
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
community.
The whole community showed up. No one brought a gift. You're supposed to bring us gifts to make sure we're good as we're moving forward. And they left all of their trash in the yard.
Oh.
So we had to clean that up.
Soon afterwards, cracks appeared in their relationship.
I started to see the big cultural divide between Emmanuel and myself.
Diane Peebles from Musselburgh near Edinburgh says she also felt from the moment she married that things were not right. Aged 54, she found herself in a relationship with a 21-year-old tuk-tuk driver called Priyanjana. She sold her flat and moved to Sri Lanka to build a new life with her new husband. But the marriage was in difficulty when another woman claimed to also be his wife. Then her story took an even darker turn. No one knows exactly what happened, but Diane believes Priyanjana, now regarded as wealthy, faced demands for protection money from gangsters. First, one of his friends was shot, then Priyanjana himself was murdered.
I was shocked and stunned. I didn't know what to think, because a lot of people were saying, oh, is he really dead? He's maybe hiding. Wait until you leave the country and then he's going to be with the other wife, sort of thing. But he was dead. He hadn't faked his death or anything like that. He was really dead. His body, I mean, it didn't kind of look like him because I think they put too much embalming fluid in. So his body was all sort of swollen and puffed up. But it was definitely him.
Diane is now back in the UK, but she's £100,000 out of pocket with no flat and no job.
Hi Diane, are you right?
I'm fine.
Michelle, who runs the Stop UK Marriage Fraud Support Group, has come to Edinburgh to meet Diane. Michelle has met many women like Diane who have lost their life savings in foreign marriages.
What about your family and friends? Were they concerned about how this guy was sort of rushing you forward in this relationship?
Yeah, they were a bit concerned, but obviously I thought he was in love with me and I didn't listen to anybody.
Yeah. What was the situation with his family after he was murdered?
Well, after he was murdered, they were really nice to me and they said, oh, you can stay here for as long as you want. This is your home. We'll look after you, we'll take you shopping, we'll take you to the doctors, wherever you need to go, just let us know.
This has been a terrifying ordeal for Diane. She was trapped in Sri Lanka. The minibus and home she paid for were in Priyanjana's name, so she couldn't get her money back.
He treated you appallingly.
He did.
Yeah, he did, yeah. But he paid a heavy price for it, though, to be fair.
Yeah.
He did, because he's dead. So
that's true, yeah, 6 feet under, so...
Yeah.
Some people might say, oh, he got what he deserved because he wasn't very nice to me, he treated me very badly.
Diane says even after Priyanjana's murder, his family wanted more of her money, but it was all gone. It took her 2 years to raise enough cash to buy a plane ticket home to Scotland. Diane had lost everything.
When I told him I was leaving, his mother came over that morning, but they didn't want me to leave because they wouldn't get any more money out of me.
Well, they lost their cash cow now, haven't you, because you're gone home?
I didn't have any money to give them anyway, so which they didn't.
You shouldn't give them money
They didn't
anyway.
understand.
Now back in Scotland, Diane faces an uncertain future.
Even before he died, it wasn't a great life. It wasn't the life I imagined I would have. But I wanted to live in paradise. I thought that's what was going to happen, but it didn't. I feel sad that I gave up my life. I feel it was just a waste and I shouldn't have given up my job and everything. And I really loved him and I thought he loved me, but he obviously didn't, so.
Coming up, married life in Ghana, and Latoya discovers her new husband isn't the man of property she had thought.
If I knew that beforehand, I wouldn't have done it. I would not have come to Africa at all.
And in Sarah's rush to marry, she realizes too late that she may have made a terrible decision.
I just wanted him to be out of my life.
In paradise, it's easy to think life is always going to be sweet. Latoya fell in love with Ghana and a man called Emmanuel. She packed up her life in the USA to be with him, but before doing so, she made sure he had an income and a large property.
I thought that I'd done my homework as I asked Emmanuel very pointedly over many discussions, what is it that you have? He told me I have a house near the beach and I own coconut farms. And I sold all my stuff in America and merged with him in Ghana in the hopes that we're growing together.
Latoya was sure she had married her perfect match, romantically and economically. She believed he owned a 5-bedroom house. But after they married, a bombshell. Emmanuel didn't actually own the house.
Emmanuel admitted that he was the one that helped build the house, but his sister is the one who owns the house. And his explanation, trying to weasel out of that, was that in Africa, when one person makes the house, it's their family house. And if I knew that beforehand, I wouldn't have done it. I would not have made such bold moves, and I wouldn't have come to Africa at all.
Things only got worse for Latoya, and the newlyweds started to argue. She says she also found messages to other women on his phone.
That argument actually led to me cutting up all his clothes with a knife. And then he came up on me, of course, because he's upset about the clothes. But since I paid for them, I cut them all up. And he came up on me in a threatening way. So I turned around and I said, if you come closer, I'm going to cut you. So, of course, he heard that and he fled. So since then, I have not seen Emmanuel.
Emmanuel denied he'd been messaging other women. They had argued over her cooking and whether to have a child. As their relationship fell apart, Latoya says message after message revealed his true priority, not their marriage or romance, but getting a visa.
He simply just wanted to go to America.
Latoya told him she was clear from the start she didn't want to go back to live in the States.
He would say things like, okay, I'll consider coming back to you if you go to America and start applying for my paperwork.
Latoya says Emmanuel repeatedly asked her to apply for a green card that would enable him to work in America. He would text, women who truly love their men, yes, help them get the rightful documents. Latoya flatly refused and said if they couldn't resolve the issue, they'd have to discuss separating permanently. He replied, if you refuse, then you are on your own. Sarah from Herne Bay was on holiday in Tunisia when she met the man of her dreams, Haytham, who was part of the hotel entertainment team. After they married, she returned home, where she says she saved to pay for his visa to live in the UK. Because Sarah has health problems, they were able to fast-track his visa application from 6 months to 2 weeks on the basis he'd be able to care for her.
I think deep down I was hoping it was going to be rejected, even though it was money that I saved and worked so hard for.
She was excited, but also wondered if she had moved too quickly from holiday romance to marriage.
I didn't know whether I wanted to rush him over here, living in my house, in my space, when I've been single for so long. He came over on the 26th of March and it was hard. I'm not going to lie, I had no money, so there was no way of feeding us.
Things were so tough, they even had to rely on food banks until Sarah found Haytham some casual work.
I managed to get him a labouring job, and every time he come home he was moaning about his hand because he hurt his hand and that the work was too hard. But I said he only had to do it for a few weeks just to stabilise us.
Married life with Haytham was far from the dream Sarah had hoped for, and it wasn't long before the marriage hit crisis point.
After, I think, is his 3rd week of working, I come home from work and he wasn't here.
Sarah had no idea where her new husband had gone, but his clothes were packed and it was obvious he was not coming back.
I tried messaging him, I tried ringing him, I was getting no answer. Yeah, it wasn't until about 6, 7 o'clock that night that he said, "I've gone." That's all I got was, "I've gone." I went, "Gone where?" He's like, "I've left. You didn't listen to me. I told you my hand was bad." And I said, "Are you coming back?" He's like, "No, I'm not coming back."
Sarah had no idea what to do for the best.
I was kind of heartbroken and I was kind of relieved. It was a bit of a mixed emotion because I thought I loved him.
At the time, Sarah turned to her friend Angie for support. She had been abandoned without money and was sure Haytham was with another woman.
Just kept saying that it wasn't true, he wasn't in Scotland. He said he was in Leeds, he was in Newcastle.
So every time the story changed?
Every time.
He didn't work and he just went off with another girl.
To Scotland.
Because he was not interested in working.
But that was not the end of the story by a long shot. 3 months later, Sarah received a call from a girl in Scotland, desperate for her to take Haytham back.
All of a sudden, this girl rang me saying, "Oh, he wants to come home, he loves you." And I said, "Well, what makes you think I want him home?" "Well, I don't want him here no more."
Sarah says the mystery girl revealed stories about Haytham she'd never heard before.
I was like, "You paid towards the wedding?" She went, "Yeah, I gave £200 towards the wedding." I said, "Why would you do that?" Because he was a friend. And then she was like, "Oh, your engagement ring." She went, "Does it have loads of hearts around it?" It was like a Pandora heart ring. And I was like, "Yeah." She went, "Oh, that's my ring. He wore that when I come over in October, just so he didn't have to go into the forces." So we pretended we was married. I was like, "What?" I was such an idiot.
Sarah had had enough and wanted all traces of Haytham out of her life.
After I found out that he was in Scotland with this other girl, I was pretty angry, so I decided to do a fire and burn everything of his. His clothes, my son helped throw some shoes on there, his photos, wedding pictures, visa paperwork, and we just watched it go up in flames. Watching all the memories burn, it was amazing. And then he rang me actually halfway through and he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm burning all your stuff. You with another girl? Let's her buy you clothes." It was like a little revenge bonfire and we just watched it till the flames went out. And I didn't feel guilty whatsoever. I just wanted him to be out of my life.
But that was not going to happen. 3 months later, he turned up on her doorstep.
He turned up back in my town on the day his visa was cancelled.
Oh, very convenient.
I managed to save his visa. And
what were you thinking?
I don't know. I really don't know. To be
Were you
honest,
still in love with him by then?
I
you felt responsible.
I actually started moving on, but then I felt responsible.
Of course. And it's your husband and you want to give it a go.
Sarah felt duty-bound to help Haytham, but in doing so, her life was about to become a lot more complicated. Love rat stories are always fraught. Dee Aloan from Ashford in Kent first met her new man on holiday after her marriage broke down.
I was really distraught. And my cousin Cynthia said, let's go on holiday to Tunisia just to have a break.
The man was a student called Ahmed.
He was absolutely devastatingly handsome, I must admit. He was very charming, and he was tall as well.
Dee returned to the UK and they stayed in touch.
He did make me laugh. I found him quite funny at times.
After several more holidays to visit him, in 2003, they married in Tunisia.
This is us, the night of the party. The party was kept on the roof of a house. It's me and him. We look like sort of Beckham and Posh there. I don't laugh, joke. I thought these were happy days, happy times.
Ahmed moved to the UK, but Dee wanted to spend time in Tunisia and bought a property there.
Really, really nice house. And he'd actually taken a lot of stuff from the house in England to put in that house.
In 2009, Ahmed set off in the car, apparently to take more belongings over to their house in Tunisia.
This is the lay-by where Ahmed pulled into on the morning when he left to go to Tunisia. The car was laden and he couldn't go up the hill again. So he phoned me at home and asked me to bring his wedding ring. I came down here with the wedding ring to give to Ahmed, not knowing that Ahmed was going to use the ring for his marriage 11 days later to a Tunisian woman.
Ahmed told Dee he had extended his stay in Tunisia, but then she was contacted by his cousin.
I had an email to ask me if I've divorced Ahmed. I said, no, what are you talking about? We're still living together.
Ahmed had committed bigamy, a crime in the UK and in Tunisia.
I found out that he had married a new wife. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it.
Dee sued him in Tunisia for falsifying the divorce papers, and he was sentenced to 3 years in jail. But by then, he'd fled to the UK.
If he touches down in Tunisia, they will arrest him. But what will the British police do here? Because basically, I want the man arrested for the crimes he's committed.
He's had the jail sentence hanging over him since 2014, but has never been arrested. Dee has continued to campaign for a change in the law and justice in her own case.
Since 2015, I've continued to submit information, evidence, both here and from Tunisia, court cases. Nothing's happened.
She asked the Parliamentary Ombudsman to intervene over the Home Office processing of her case.
I was awarded £500 because they had sat on my case for 6 years and hadn't done anything while pretending that they were doing something.
Protection in law has been something campaigners like Dee and Michelle have been demanding for years. As it stands, there is little victims can do if they feel they have been exploited by a holiday love rat.
Thank you for coming down today.
Yeah, that's good.
As far back as 2015, Michelle discovered how difficult it is to use the law once a love rat has obtained a UK visa. She consulted Paula Roan Adrian.
Previously, the period of time to get a visa was 2 years in which the application could be made, and that's been extended to 5 years.
There doesn't seem to be much focus on actually what happens after they get British citizenship.
You can be in a relationship with someone for years, and who's to say that if they do go before the courts, that they can't persuade the court that the relationship naturally came to an end?
I actually went to my MP, who actually wrote to the Chief Constable. They sent 2 CID officers round. They discussed what happened with me.
Oh, Michelle, I know that this is frustrating, but you've got to advise all your followers that they should do the same, because remember, indefinite leave to remain and citizenship can now be revoked.
Coming up, Sarah's Tunisian husband is back in town and her life is about to get even more complicated.
He'd come home after a few weeks and I'd fell pregnant.
And in Ghana, Latoya confronts a real-life love rat.
My highest money I've taken $50,000.
Latoya is separated from her husband and now supports victims of love rats through her website, and there are plenty. She still lives in Ghana, a country with its fair share of online love rats who target Western women. This 25-year-old is happy to reveal his methods, but not his identity. He claims to have lost count of how many women he scammed over the last 5 years.
Yeah, this is somebody I'm talking to right at the moment. She wants to hear from me because she is very, very worried about me, and she don't know what is going on, what is wrong with me, because I told her to send me money and she refused. So I decided to stop talking to her for a while.
He never actually meets the women. It all happens online, where he hides behind another man's image.
Here, this is the man I am using his picture for scamming. And in case the woman wants to see me on cam, this is the man you are going to see. So as we are talking, you see me typing and smiling, which will tell you I am a real man to you. After, I'll tell you my microphone is not working.
It's a tried and tested scam that works, and there's plenty who fall for it.
My highest money I've taken took from women, saying like $50,000. And the rest, some might not have money, so you just consider, okay, you just help me with $2,000 or €1,000.
This love rat has agreed to talk to Latoya.
What I want to hear from him is, how does he feel morally or even ethically when he's doing these things to women? I mean, is it only this type of livelihood that you can find, or is it something else? Are you chatting with someone now?
No, right now I'm not chatting with anybody.
Okay. So I heard about what you do, so I want to hear more from you. So, like, for real, was it like a career choice between a doctor or a scammer? Was it like that? It was like that, okay. Yeah. You were more concerned about getting the money?
Yes, that's the income of the job.
These love rats often act alone, but some use a witch doctor or a so-called juju man to help cast spells over potential victims.
Do you go to a juju man?
I don't go to juju. I have my personal pastor. I used to go to church.
Okay, and you pray that these people will come up off their money?
Everybody, he or she has his or her business to do.
No doubt.
You always pray for God to give you more money.
Is this Christian?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're praying that someone will send you $50,000.
Sure.
And do you have family?
Yes, I have a family.
Okay, so how many children?
1.
Boy, girl?
Girl.
So how are you going to feel one day if she is scammed?
If she's scammed?
Yeah.
It's because it's all because of money, and it is part of life. Sometimes I feel very bad talking to someone's mother.
Because I was going to ask you about your own mother. So how does she feel?
She sometimes tell me to put stop to the work I'm doing. And
okay.
Yeah, she said, like, it's not good, so I should stop.
Well, that's good. Thank you so much for bearing through all of my questions, even though some of them were very invasive.
Back in the UK, and Sarah's Tunisian husband Haytham returned home after running away to another woman in Scotland. Despite her misgivings, Sarah decided to give the marriage another go.
We tried over the next few months, and then it come to May, he left again, and he'd come home after a few weeks, and I fell pregnant.
Why on earth did you get pregnant?
I didn't mean to get pregnant.
Oh, you didn't mean to get pregnant?
No, I didn't. I was on protection.
Right.
It just sort of happened, and then...
She agreed to take him back.
So me being me, I was like, oh, I'll give you this one last chance, because I'm pregnant with your baby. He come back, he was lazy, still didn't do anything, still kept drinking every night. He stayed until I kicked him out. He also threatened me a week before I gave birth to my daughter. saying that I couldn't keep him away from his daughter, it's his daughter, he's going to take her to his country and I would never see her again.
After Sarah initially reported him, the Home Office revoked Haytham's leave to remain. But Haytham applied for a visa extension. He's still living in Herne Bay. He has no contact with Sarah.
Now he's gone, it's so much better. My little girl has just turned into a princess.
Back in Africa, and Latoya has one more person to meet. In Ghana, some love rats are said to use what's called juju, an African form of witchcraft, in a bid to win over new single women. This is witch doctor Nana Before, who for a fee will cast a spell.
I'll show you how you need to approach her, how you need to talk to her, how you need to coerce her mind into whatever situation you want to happen.
Latoya's partner never used juju, but she wants to find out firsthand how witchcraft is used to help love rats do the dirty.
This person is okay with a little evil for a little bit of money. So I want to understand, how is it that someone can push some magic that makes someone's lives miserable? All right, so Nana Pafo, any advice for ladies? Because I try to assist other ladies so that they don't get used.
So, life is made up of choices. If he is able to put a spell on you, then you have laid that foundation for the spell to be active. Anything that somebody does to you that can take an effect is because you allowed it. Mm-hmm. You have to blame yourself first. One, and ask me why.
Why do you say that?
You had a choice, right? To love him, or you had a choice not to love him, right? You had a choice to inquire his background. You had a choice to really get to know him that much. You had a choice to trust him, and you chose to trust him. The best advice I can give to the ladies is that they should open their minds more, right? They should open their mind and close their legs.
I'll let them know what you said.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. It is amazing to see that the deflection is basically it's the victim's fault, which is utterly ridiculous.
We wanted to hear from the former partners of the women in this film. Haytham told us he'd done nothing wrong, and previously he told a national newspaper that his relationship with Sarah was fine in Tunisia, but she stopped caring about him in the UK. She'd asked him to work while his hand was broken and only wanted him for his money. Waleed did not respond to our letter. Michelle has not accepted his invitation to look after his daughter by another woman.
I feel sorry for the little girl. I got no sympathy for him whatsoever. He can rot in hell.
Dee still hopes her bigamist husband will be deported to Tunisia to serve his 3-year sentence. We wrote to all his previously known addresses but did not receive a response. Latoya's partner Emmanuel did not reply when we contacted him. In email exchanges with Latoya from when they were married, he maintained that he had not been communicating with other women. For her, a happier ending. She's building a new life with a new love in Ghana.